This is News 4 at 5 on your side.
We just need the public to let us work through this. Law enforcement are not looking for any suspects.
A UNR dorm rocked by an explosion and covered in smoke. This was just moments after a mechanical explosion prompted road closures and evacuations. This video courtesy of UNR student Alexander Dilling. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ben Marjat. Joe and Shelby have the night off. We start, of course, with our breaking news story. Authorities still on scene of this explosion. It happened at Argenta Hall at the University of Nevada, Reno. The university canceled classes for the rest of the day as the investigation is underway. Virginia and Sierra streets are closed to all traffic. Here's what we know so far. The incident happened just before 1 o'clock this afternoon. Officials reported 8 injuries after the incident. 2 of those people were transported to the hospital and 6 of them were treated on scene. Nye Hall was cleared and no one was inside, but Argenta Hall does have significant damage. We continue to follow this developing news story, and we have live team coverage tonight with both Kristen Edwards and Zach Slopemaker on campus. Zach, what are UNR officials saying about all this?
Yeah, as of right now, I-80 on and off ramps completely open, but any streets within half a mile of the campus entirely closed off. You can see the heavy presence behind me, still a lot of maintenance workers. You can see firefighters now beginning to work up Virginia Street, most likely going into the building. I'll get to that in just a moment. The Reno Fire Department says that crews are working to access the building damages as we speak, as well as searching the building for anyone that may be injured. RFD is saying that there is major damage to Argenta Hall, and they believe that the building was mostly unoccupied. This prompted a multi-agency response, but as far as getting an answer as how this explosion initially started, officials say they are still investigating.
We just need the public to let us work through this. Law enforcement are not looking for any suspects. We are under the assumption of a mechanical failure that we're assisting with. Priority first is public safety and safety of others, and then we need to start working on the integrity of the building.
Chief Renwick advises all students and staff at the university to keep a close eye on the website over the next couple days for any updates and what they can do in the meantime, as well as he's advising anyone to avoid the area because he says for the next several hours they'll be working to investigate the cause and secure the safety of that building. Live from UNR, Zach Slopemaker reporting.
All right, thanks, Zach. And for everyone in that area, stay away from Argenta Hall just to let this investigation go forward as smoothly as possible. All right, let's check in now with Kristen Edwards live at Argenta Hall. Kristen, what is the scene like right now? I know you were on scene shortly after this happened. I'm sure it was chaotic there.
Yes, Ben, it absolutely was. And there's just been a flurry of activity here on campus for the past several hours, but things are starting to calm down a little bit. The building's alarm has stopped ringing, and the Raven helicopter that Washoe County has stopped flying overhead. But there are still plenty of first responders and crews from NV Energy still here at Argenta Hall. And I'm going to take a step out of frame so that you can get a closer look at the damage. So you're looking at Argenta Hall there on the right. You can see insulation is falling out of the side of the building, and Nye Hall is there on the left. Now, UNR police is, like you said, pointing the finger at a utilities accident, and we talked to a man who says he does maintenance at the dorms here on campus. He says he happened to take the day off, but has talked to his coworkers about what they saw today.
They said one of the boilers exploded and that everyone was freaking out, and part of it fell and actually collapsed. We have guys that check the boilers almost all the time, and so I've never heard of anything like this happening. We always are making sure it's doing well.
Coming up on News 4 at 6, more on what witnesses say they heard when this explosion rocked the UNR campus. Ben?
All right, thanks, Kristen. Governor Steve Sisolak is reacting to this explosion. He tweeted out, quote, "My office is aware of the situation at UNR and has offered support on the ground. We will continue to closely monitor all updates for those on or near campus. Please stay clear of areas where first responders are working on the scene." We, of course, will keep you updated in our 6 o'clock hour with what university officials find during the cleanup and what may have contributed to the cause of this explosion. In the meantime, if you're in that area, chime in your photos and videos with us on mynews4.com or share with us on our Facebook page, KRNV News 4. It is fire season, of course, and Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District crews knocked down a brush fire this afternoon. It was near the Spanish Springs Airport. Firefighters say it was about 15 acres and no structures were threatened. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Temperatures were a bit warmer today and a fantastic evening is ahead for us. Let's check in with Weather Authority meteorologist Dwayne Macy. Dwayne, I know yesterday we saw those breezes. Are those going to be in our future tonight?
Yeah, we'll have that just a little bit. It hasn't been too bad here this afternoon. Even looking outside right now, we have a little bit of what we call Virgo going on. Some rain falling from the clouds, but it is dissipating and not hitting the ground at all. But overall, we're looking for a really nice night. I mean, it's 88 degrees right now. The clouds that are out there now going to add a little bit of extra relief from that, because now we hit the low 90s here for us today, which is about 6 degrees more than what we saw here for us yesterday up around the lake right now. Not complaining at all up there. 74 degrees here at this hour. And as we go through the rest of the evening here, we're going to see those temperatures dip down. It's still at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll still be near 80 degrees, but we'll get down to those upper 50s, low 60s here into the overnight hours tonight. But 7:05, the Aces will be taking on the River Cats here at 7:05, 86 degrees. We'll have those, skies will start to clear out here as we lose the daytime heating, but a fantastic night to get out and enjoy the Aces game all the way really in through Sunday. But as Ben said, we have some breezes that are going to pick up and maybe even some fire weather concerns by Sunday. We'll talk about that with your full forecast here coming up in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Dean. We are learning more about the former RTC bus driver that is accused of driving a bus on the streets illegally. According to the general manager of Keolis, the new contractor for RTC, former employee Devern Emerson took a bus that was offline and was giving rides to people last night. A dispatcher noticed the bus was on the road and called police, who pulled the 55-year-old driver over. Keolis says the driver did not reapply by the required deadline to continue driving. Democratic presidential candidate Julian Castro is visiting the Silver State tomorrow. The former Secretary of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, will start the day in Wendover. Then he'll head over to Elko for the Basque Festival Parade. He'll be on the Elko Democratic float this year. Afterwards, he's going to Cathexis right here in Reno for a meet and greet from 6:30 to 8:30 in the evening. Do not drink and boat. That is the message from NDOT. Starting today, the Nevada Department of Wildlife is joining a national campaign to stop boating under the influence. Other law enforcement agencies across the state are also participating. They're on the lookout for people driving boats while drinking all the way until Sunday. This means law enforcement and game wardens are heavily patrolling areas of Lake Tahoe. Thousands of locals headed to the lake to celebrate the 4th of July yesterday, but every year they leave behind hundreds of pounds of trash. News 4's Shaw Ahmad joins us live in the newsroom. Shaw, how are volunteers keeping those beaches clean?
Well, Ben, it's largely thanks to the volunteers with the League to Save Lake Tahoe. Every year, hundreds of those volunteers gather to help Lake Tahoe recover from the aftermath of the 4th of July celebrations. According to the League, they picked up thousands of pieces of trash from 5 beaches in Lake Tahoe today. Volunteers were out since 8 this morning cleaning all areas of Lake Tahoe. On top of picking up the trash, they also weigh it and sort it by category. This helps them get an idea of what is being left behind and how frequently. The data also helps them get an idea of what items are most hazardous and how they can help prevent people from leaving them behind.
The data that was collected the last 4 years by our volunteers was instrumental in passing the polystyrene ban at the city of South Lake Tahoe. So now straws and utensils are on request only, and the sale of styrofoam is not allowed in restaurants or retail like markets.
The League to Save Lake Tahoe wants to remind the public to pack out what they pack in. Leaving trash behind not only pollutes the water, but can actually hurt wildlife. So remember, anything you bring to Lake Tahoe, you got to make sure you take that with you. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Shaw Ahmad.
Millions of dollars spent on lobbying, millions more to pay top executives high salaries. I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington with a look at nonprofit hospitals coming up.
And we're looking for a really nice evening out there here across the region. A beautiful shot right now from Lake Tahoe. But we'll get the winds to pick up this weekend. And guess what? We'll be back into the 80s for highs by Sunday. All your details coming up.
A sad update to a story out of Utah. Investigators have found the body of a missing Utah college student. 23-year-old Mackenzie Lewick vanished on June 17th. She took a ride share from Salt Lake City International Airport to a city park. Cell phone data led investigators to a home near the park, and they say they found evidence that linked to her there. They arrested the man living there, 31-year-old Ayola Chaya, on June 28th.
At this stage, we will move forward with our screening of formal charges. That will happen early part of next week.
Ajaya is currently being held without bail in the Salt Lake County Jail for investigation of aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, desecration of a human body, and obstruction of justice. President Trump may use an executive order to get a citizenship question on the 2020 census. Trump said his administration is exploring a number of legal options, but the Justice Department did not say what options it has now since the Supreme Court barred that question.
So we'll see what happens. We can also add an addition on, so we can start the printing now and maybe do an addendum after we get a positive decision. So we're working on a lot of things, including an executive order.
The government has already begun processing the printing of the census questionnaire without the citizenship question. A common refrain from healthcare providers is they have a tough time staying profitable. They often point out that Medicare and Medicaid don't pay them enough, but that may not be true, according to a new watchdog report on nonprofit hospitals. Sinclair National correspondent Christine Frizzau has more.
For patients, the cost of premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket expenses can add up, by some estimates to $20,000 a year for the average family. But it turns out some places that provide them care, nonprofit hospitals, which are viewed as charities and don't have to pay income or property taxes, are raking in the cash. In a new oversight report from the watchdog group Open the Books, auditors found in a list of 82 nonprofit medical providers, combined net assets increased from $164 billion to $203 billion, a more than 23% rate of growth.
These charitable hospitals are not reducing the cost of health care for their patients. They don't want to market, they want to control the monopoly.
Open the Books president Adam Andrzejewski says hospitals also spend big on lobbying, more than $26 million in 2017.
You can't use government grants to lobby Congress. You can't use charitable donations to lobby. They're using private pay patient revenues to defend the status quo.
Some are concerned these lobbying dollars are being used to fight against things like making prices of medical services more transparent, something outlined in President Trump's recent executive order. Many of these nonprofit hospitals also have a long track record of paying top executives extremely high salaries. Here's a look at the top 5 as outlined in the report. The average compensation for executives across the 82 hospitals was $3.5 million. In several statements, nonprofit hospitals responded similarly, saying high compensation was needed to, quote, compete for executive leaders at the highest levels throughout the country, and that extra funds were invested back into the health system and went to fund new research and education initiatives. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
If you're looking for a new job, you might have better luck finding one now. Promising new job numbers were released today. U.S. employers stepped up their hiring in June, adding 224,000 jobs. This is an indication of the economy's durability after more than a decade of expansion. The unemployment rate ticked up to 3.7% in June. One man's online search resulted in a phone call that could have cost him thousands of dollars in unauthorized purchases. Darian Trotter with our sister station reports.
Ray Schultz was simply trying to cancel his membership with Amazon Prime. He did an online search and found the customer service number, or so he thought.
And I quickly called that number.
He says he connected with a very convincing representative. After answering a few verification questions, he was told his account had been compromised. 3 unauthorized charges were pending, totaling $1,500.
I'm like, oh, great. I said, I can just see it now. The charges haven't hit yet. You know, it's kind of pending. Okay, I'm thinking in my mind, I got to call my credit card company, got to call whoever and, you know, cancel everything.
In order to cancel the online orders, the representative needed Ray to answer more security questions, so he did. Because the person on the other line became aggressive, Ray's wife became suspicious and started recording the call.
I will help you.
No. You need to go over there right now. Listen to me. You have to work with me.
As the conversation continued, she called the Amazon Prime number saved in her cell phone. She told them about the call her husband was on.
They said, hang up.
That's when it became clear that what appeared to be Amazon Prime customer service was actually a call center full of people skilled at collecting sensitive information that could later be used to make unauthorized purchases or steal your identity.
It was a close call because I was like, oh no.
Schultz says the next time you do an online search for a company's contact information, take a closer look at what comes up.
But until you experience it, it's like, okay, you have to slow down and just make sure everything that you have in front of you is correct as best as you can.
First responders and law enforcement risk their lives every day to help you and your loved ones. Many of them are heroes and many of them suffer PTSD. So one national organization is encouraging you to get involved to give back. Kayla James from our sister station in Cedar Rapids, Iowa shows you how.
For police officers, firefighters, paramedics, and more, the call for help can go from something light to something heavy.
An armed subject that's wanted for attempted murder. And those are real calls, and that's real stressors that first responders have to go through.
A report from the Ruhrman Family Foundation shows at least 140 police officers and 103 firefighters lost their lives to suicide in 2017 from post-traumatic stress disorder. It's an issue Officer Ron Slagle has seen too often.
And there's a lot of things that are being seen by these first responders and absorbed that need to be dealt with.
And now he's looking to help his fellow first responders.
The stars themselves represent lives that have either passed or alive.
With a fundraising campaign of his own.
We've went through 3 different manufacturers and we found the right one for quality. And now it's called the Honor and Respect Athletic Shoe.
Officer Slagle says he spent almost a year designing the shoe.
The white sole that just wants to give us hope.
To raise money for the Code 9 Project, a national organization focusing on helping all first responders and their families dealing with PTSD.
We give them coping mechanisms, things to learn, breathing exercises.
For Officer Slagle, the idea of helping give first responders back control of their life is more than enough for him.
There's people out there that want to help them, truly, and I'm one of them.
If you would like to own a pair of Officer Slagle shoes or donate to the Code 9 Project, you can visit the websites listed on your screen. We were a little bit cooler for our 4th of July than we might expect. Let's check in with meteorologist Dwayne Macy. Dwayne, 4th of July, we wanted those boiling hot temperatures. We didn't get it yesterday, but they might be in our future.
Yeah, we're going to be a little bit warmer tomorrow. We made it up to 92 degrees today, and there's one little spot of moisture, and using the terrain, we got that upward motion going. We've got a little storm popping up here just north of Verdi. A viewer had said they had some sprinkles and heard some couple of rumbles of thunder. Well, we've had 3 lightning strikes here within the last 10-15 minutes or so. This is going to continue to move off over toward the east and northeast Spanish Springs. You might get a little bit of this, but it looks like this is going to miss Reno. But as this moves away from the mountains, I think we're going to see this really start to dissipate. So Cold Springs, you guys are going to get a nice little shower here on this hot day to cool things down. We're at 94 right now in Yerington, a lot of upper 80s and low 90s here across the board. South Lake Tahoe at 74, Tahoe City sitting at 80 degrees. And yeah, the pollen levels, guess what? They have actually come down 85% for those is the issue with the trees there, but everything else is nice and low. So you should finally have some relief from your allergies. So that is some good news. But overnight or tonight here, 6 o'clock, 87 degrees, 82 by 8, 77 here by 10 o'clock tonight. And our weekend is actually looking good. 91 Saturday, keep our highs or lows in the upper 50s. And then Sunday, look, we're going to be below normal, 86 degrees. We have a system that is going to brush us to the north. It's going to pick up our winds, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. The paddleboards, kayaks, if you're going to be out in the water, do it before lunchtime and then put them away because it's going to be a little bit too choppy out there for you guys. So here's your 7-day, 91. 86, 85. So we're going to be right at normal. Normal high this time of year is 90. We'll see 85, and then we'll keep the 80s through at least Tuesday, and then back into the low 90s as high pressure does set up here on the West Coast. Aces home all the way through your Sunday, but tomorrow 89 for Carson, 85 on Sunday, 80 tomorrow for South Lake with 75 on Sunday. Stick with us. We will be right back here right after the break.
Welcome back, everyone. Next on News 4 Nightly at 6 o'clock, continuing coverage of the explosion on the UNR campus. And for the latest updates, you can always go to our website, mynews4.com, or, of course, our social media channels. And one of the best things about our town is if you miss an event or even a day of events, always more events. Here are some of the activities happening tonight. Rolling on the River happening right now. It's a free concert series at Wingfield Park starting at 5:30. And if you need a laugh, there's a ton of comedy shows going on tonight. For more information about all of what's happening throughout the whole month of our town, of course, just visit mynews4.com. Dwayne, how was your 4th of July yesterday? I know you were here, but how was it?
It was actually really good, got home and I don't know, it was just, we were here.
Yeah,
so, but it was a good day. I did grill in the before lunchtime, at lunchtime, so that turned out. But if you're going out, just keep an eye to the sky. We do have that one little storm that's kind of hanging over Cold Springs right now, maybe moving into Reno. I'm gonna keep an eye on that here, so stay tuned to the 6 o'clock. But temperature-wise, not doing bad. Upper 80s, low 90s.
All right, thank you, Dwayne. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you in half an hour for News 4 Nightly.